Okay, we're recording then. So get ready to mix it up, bro. Welcome to the Twin-Tailed Podcast, the only AoS podcast where you're hearing double and it's not a mic issue. I am your host, Alex, aka Massidia, and I'm joined, as always, by my twin brother. I guess we call him Twin Cydia, or Jack.
I love Twin Cydia. That's actually not bad at all.
I actually can't take credit for that because there's somebody that I used to play War of the Visions, a mobile game with, and when he heard I had a twin, he started calling you Twin Cydia. So you've actually been called Twin Cydia by people for years that you still don't even know that. But either Amazing. Way, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the second episode of the podcast, sponsored by Richmond Reroll, which is your place where you can get your Warhammer stuff, but you can also go there for Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. And just kind of a important notice around that store, they actually got broken into, which is very sad. And they got a lot of their products stolen. And while, you can claim insurance on things, when you're selling singles of cards and stuff, that makes it infinitely more difficult. And so if you're able to support Richmond Reroll, I think it's really important to, because they are the heart and soul of the AoS scene in Vancouver. When without them, we'd have like 90% less events in the city. So anyone that can do that is appreciated.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, the fact that we're doing someone organized a event to raise some money to help them out just shows how much the community cares about them. And on their Discord, everyone was really rallying around them. So it's a nice community, and hopefully we can help them out a bit.
Yeah, and we have an extra tournament to go to this year, which is kind of fun because we didn't think that we were going to, but now we're playing in a one-dayer on the 27th. So a couple days after Christmas, we'll be playing 3 games of AoS, and we'll probably break that down after the fact together, I think, which would be really cool. But definitely, we are going to get into the first segment that that we'll have on this podcast, and it is the crafting corner, where we kind of catch up on things that we've been working on in the hobby. And so, Jack, I'm going to let you go first and tell us what you've been up to, because you've been up to a lot.
Yeah, I've been super busy. I definitely, like, when I have a project in mind, I get like really excited and think about it all day, and then get home and put a lot of work in. So I'm finished my custom table, which I was able to use with scrap plywood, sanded it down, and like bits and stuff I found from work. So I built it really, really on the cheap. I've built a full table's worth of terrain, all out of foam for like $60 Canadian in the end for all the little parts I had to buy. And those were kind of my big projects for a while, and getting them both done was super satisfying, because now I can host a 2K game at my place and I have everything I need to do it. So that was super, super cool. Other than that, I've primed my Dominion box. I've started painting the Bolt Boys, and I've primed my Orc Boys that I built, the old world stuff. And I'm going to be working on basically the spearhead portion of Dominion before I move on to the Orc Boys.
Now, I don't think you had Orc Boys the last time we talked on this podcast. So kind of what happened there?
There was that sale at Pastime where they did 2-for-1s, and you and I went in on it, and what did you end up getting again?
I got the dwarf cannons. So I got 2 dwarf cannons. One of them can be the rocket battery, and one of them can be the regular cannon. And I'm going to proxy those as Cities of Sigmar cannons. And I actually have a student that is going to 3D print me the bases, so I can save a bit of money there. But we'll get to that.
Have you built them yet?
No, I haven't built them, honestly. Well, I mean, we'll get to what I've done recently, but it's very, very little. But yeah, you've done a lot, and I really want to mention too, like the sheer amount of terrain that you've built. And I guess I can actually put pictures of it on the pod. Like, I'll be able to just upload those because you sent me a bunch of photos.
Yeah, for sure.
The photos that I have, they're not like they're looking really, really good, but there's still like things to add to them. And I think you added a statue to one of them today, for example. But yeah, it's very cool.
Well, I also live in a house that was built in the 1950s, and they didn't really do overhead lights back then. So the lighting is super poor. Whenever I take pictures of anything in here, I have a hard time getting like nice pictures. So I think for what they cost, they look pretty good. And it's all in theme. I have a snow themed battle mat. All my terrain is snow themed. My bases for my orcs are snow themed. So like when it's all put together on the board like that, it looks really thematical, which I think is really nice too.
Yeah, we enjoyed playing a game on that with that terrain, and you actually had a little
Yeah.
tower, and I put one of my standard bearers up there. I'll put a picture of that too,
Yeah.
just to kind of cheer on my forces, which led ultimately to my victory. So, and we're gonna
Yeah.
get into that. But in terms of myself for the crafting corner, I've been coaching basically 5 days a week and writing report cards and all this other stuff, and so I just really haven't done very much. But I did prime all of my Cities of Sigmar dwarf models, and I've been painting them. I've got a bunch of hammers I'll put up to I'll put one of them up to the camera right now, and basically what you can see is that the iron is painted and their beards are painted, and that's it. Zero other details. I've got a lot to do on those. And then otherwise, like a little while ago, I built a whole box of Rampart terrain, which is like a company that does terrain, and their motto is to be affordable terrain. And so it was about $75 Canadian for a full battlefield worth of terrain, which is a really, really good price. But it's like Games Workshop stuff where you have to cut it all off the sprue, you have to clean up every single piece, and then you have to glue them all together. You can put them together with pegs, but they just really don't hold very well. And so I just glued mine to make it permanent and less fuss, but they are kind of modular. And I have seen online that some people have gone through the incredible effort to magnetize every single piece to make it sturdy, but
Oh.
fully customizable. And I think if you were playing D&D or another tabletop RPG with that terrain, then that would be very worth looking into. But yeah, that's basically all I've done. Oh, and the other thing I've been doing is slowly working away at the should you play Skaven video. I'm getting pretty close to finishing the script, and then it takes like 30 minutes to record it, but then I have to edit it, and that takes a little bit longer too. So my ambitious goal is to finish it by Sunday, but I don't know if I'll make it or not.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that video. I'm excited to see your new terrain, and the next game that we play for 2K is probably going to be, well, besides the tabletop one, will probably be at your place. So we'll probably use that terrain, right?
Yes, it won't be painted or primed or anything by then, but it will be terrain, and so that's good. I
That's
think
okay.
that
So
that
if it's not painted or primed, then it's not an official match, but we can still have a match there for sure.
yeah, like it won't count for any standings or anything,
Yeah,
and
unless
I'll
I
be
win.
ridiculed by you for sure, but
Yeah.
I'll take that risk. So
One thing I'll say while we're still in the crafting corner is the orc boys, the old world ones. Basically, the reason I got those was because I was thinking I really want like a lot more Ard boys. Um, but I missed out on getting the Battle Force box. I kept looking at it at the LGS, and I kept thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna get this eventually," because that comes with two sets of Ard boys. And then one day someone bought it. I'm like, "Oh, I guess I shouldn't have just kept staring at it. I should have eventually just bought it." But essentially, if you get these Orc boys, it's 31 models, so you can turn into 3 units of Ard boys, which I'm doing. But they're very interesting. The builds are super simple. Everything looks super goofy, which I kind of like.
yeah.
But like it is a nice exercise to do like this old stuff just to see just to appreciate the newer models a bit more, I think. As there's just so much more detail in the newer models. The instructions are well, I guess because there's more going on, they have to be better. Not that they're bad for the old models, but like everything's a bit goofy, I'd say.
And for the old models, people actually like them more in some ways and complain about how detailed the new ones are because it's harder to paint. But at the end of the day, the new models are really, really nice. And I think anybody that ends up building something that's come out recently, like Cities of Sigmar, or like the new Soulblight stuff, the new Skaven stuff, like you're just hearing praise about it, how good it is. And so, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to be more detailed, but it is fun to go back and paint those old models.
Yeah, I mean these Bolt boys, I thought looking at them because I'm painting like brutes and like big old pigs and stuff, and I was like, oh, these are kind of smaller and they have a few details, but they're actually not too bad to paint. Honestly, the Cruel boys so far is not so bad.
And they look really good. Like you're doing an incredible job. I'm very excited to see you do the rest of them and see how that kind of turns out, because this is a different challenge for you than painting the iron jaws.
Yeah,
So that's kind of
it
cool.
was interesting because I was looking at my first unit of brutes. The first thing I ever built and painted was brutes, and I was just looking at the 5 of them versus like what I just painted with these bullet boys. And I guess that was only like 5 or 6 months ago, but like I'm just like this is such an improvement already. Like not that these are amazing, but like I've come a lot. It's crazy how far you can come in such a short amount of time with just the constant practice.
I said the same thing on this channel about my Lumineth.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
kind of cool is that I painted a bunch of Lumineth models, and then since then have repainted not the same. I painted some Wardens and some Blade Lords, and then later on got more Wardens and Blade Lords and got to build and paint them all over again. And the second round, the building was way easier because there was a few Lumineth things that were tough, and then the painting obviously went a lot smoother. And I actually tried to recreate the exact same paint scheme without contrast paints. Well, I only used one contrast, the green for the cloaks, but I did it with acrylic paints, and it helped me appreciate contrast paints more because I just went back to them for that cloak specifically. It's the only contrast paint that I use. I don't do any for Cities of Sigmar. I am going to be painting my dwarfs with speed paints wherever possible. But that's going to be like a little side project. They're going to be, I kind of have this idea that maybe one day these dwarves, I'll be able to rebase them and play a game of Old World, but it's kind of a pipe dream.
Right.
I don't know how that's going to happen. Although there is a community in Vancouver that I could play in. And so, but I shouldn't be thinking about a different game and a different rule set yet. That's all way too far in the future right now.
I could do that with my orc boys. I'm going to keep the bases, right? I might as well.
Right.
But also the other one was there's a set of black orcs you can get that look really sick, and but those are only 20, which is why I did the boys, because you get the extra 10. And like when people are proxying like all sorts of stuff, I feel like if you're just proxying also Games Workshop, like no, I imagine no one will ever say no to me letting me use those as art boys.
No, as long as it's Games Workshop, you're always going to be fine. And honestly, people run crazier proxies than that are also Games Workshop, and then people run proxies that are really strange that are not Games Workshop. And so yeah, you really and what are you supposed to do if, like, for example, somebody just like they've been playing the game for 10 years and they just have old models? Like, should they have to buy new ones? No, they have Iron Jaws models that are old. They get to use those ones, right? Or whatever. I guess there's no like 10-year-old Iron Jaws units, but pretty close.
I think those old art boys, they kind of look like more like the black orcs than they do the boys. The boys are kind of well, they're all pretty goofy, but I like that because we've talked about before that those models kind of remind us of Final Fantasy 11 goblins.
Oh man, but having Final Fantasy 11 goblins, but also like beastmen type models would be really sick. I would get pumped for like some sort of Final Fantasy 11 miniature game, but it would be like a skirmish game, right? Like it would just be like a small squad based game. And you could, because there's so many races and there's so many creatures and stuff. Like I bet there's a lot of fun potential there. I mean, that's not ever going to happen, but anyway, okay. Pipe dream. Okay. So we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the game that we played. So this is kind of like our battle report rundown. And Jack, I want you to paint the picture of this game, what happened, overall, and then you can get into your specifics of what you learned. But first, set up the game itself.
Yeah, basically, I got absolutely wrecked. The game was we set up and I won, or I had less drop, so I chose to go first. And I decided I was going to park some stuff, stand on circles. I'm Iron Jaws. It sounds like a good idea. So I actually teleported some Ard boys onto a objective. What map was this again? We probably should have written this down actually.
Oh, was it Passing Seasons?
Yeah, I think it's Passing Seasons. And then I ran some pigs onto the other of the four objectives. I got onto my home and then the other two in the first round. And then I thought I set up my Tusk boss in a spot where he was I thought he was going to be more blocked by the Yard boys. And I just basically there's this thing called a measuring tape, and I forgot to use it. And
Yeah.
if I had done measuring and asked Alex how far his cavalry could go, I probably would have placed them a bit farther back. But I basically lost that guy on the first turn. I couldn't get my little pigs into obscuring, so I lost them to shooting pretty quick as well. And the next thing you know, I'm stuck at home with a bunch of brutes trying to get across the map, and they're pretty slow. So I'd say some not great deployment, and then some uh, ill-conceived choices, combined with the fact that Alex had a really good plan. He stuck to it, and he made the use most of all of his units and had a really nice deep strike as well. I thought that was a big part of the game too. But yeah, that's like the gist of it. What do you think?
So just to confirm, it was passing seasons. I will put a picture of the map up because basically you've only got 4 objectives and your deployment zones are in the corners. So you don't get a full like half of the map or anything. You just get 1/4. You have a home objective, and then there's 2 neutral territory objectives. This happened to be very, very good for Master the Paths for me, and then also for my, oh God, what was the other one that I had? It wasn't the Restless. Oh no, was it Restless where you take an objective? Either way, I had
It was restless, yeah. Because I said I got
absolute.
dummied. Like you literally scored a perfect game. Like
Yeah,
you,
no,
what
here's the
they
thing.
call that in bowling? You hit a turkey.
That's right. It did go really well for me. And just so what people are like, maybe I can put the lists up on the screen as well. But I was running a pretty meta Cities of Sigmar list. I was running 2 reinforced Cavaliers, Scourge of Gairan style. And then I had the original Pontifex Zenestra. And so the idea is, if you don't know the Scourge of Gairan Cavaliers, is that every turn they can roll to see as if they can count as having charged. If they succeed on this roll, they get their +1 damage charge bonus, which immediately makes them from a wet noodle into an actual, threat. And it also means that they can power through. It means that they can receive all of their charge-based buffs, which Cities of Sigmar has multiple. The downside to this is that they can no longer have the hold the line order, because you cannot give hold the line to a unit that has charged. And hold the line gives a 5-up ward, but strike last. And that's commonly used with the old Cavaliers once they get stuck in. But Pontifex Zenestra has a 5-up ward, 12-inch bubble, and basically this is a power pod. You can really threaten a ton of damage, but a ton of survivability. And then the final piece of the puzzle is you put the Cavalier Marshal with these 2 groups of Cavaliers, and he has a once per game ability to give strike first to a unit that charged. And that means that your opponent could charge you, and they just have to play with the threat of, you can roll to count as having charged, activate your strike first, and on their turn, you're fighting first with a unit that didn't even charge, counting as having charged, and then they're super durable. And so it's a pretty powerful combo. We'll talk about the meta in a little bit, and how this might be something that gets adjusted, although I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, so I was running that. I had Calcentol, I had reinforced Fusiliers, and they held that home objective. I had Wilder Corpse that went off to, score a side objective. And then the Cavalier bundle went off to the other side. And then my command core was also going off with the Wilder Corp Hunters. And so you took an objective with your pigs. Yeah. And I was able to shoot at them, but I actually didn't do as much. I did a bit of damage. I killed 1 pig, but I only killed 1. But then what happened was the CC came in, and when that command core came in, they were on the charge, and all of a sudden another unit that like sometimes does 1 damage, but then on the charge can do, I think I did over 10 damage. I don't even think I rolled every single profile on the command core.
So the pigs, basically what happened was the pigs were supposed to do some damage, and then they were going to power through back onto the objective. But you smartly were able to get yourself out of combat with how you took away models, and then I couldn't power through anymore. The shooting killed the pig outright, and then did, I think, an additional 3 damage, which left the pig on 2, and then 1 at full. and then so they were there for the taking, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But yeah, like they weren't gonna last super long anyway. Like the plan was for them to tie you up there, and then I obviously wanted to do more on the other side. But like, yeah, 3 up cavalry with a 5 up ward is like I just don't know how to deal with that, to be honest. Like I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
I have
mean,
enough
kind of
damage to shoot through it.
totally. But I think we kind of talked about how maybe the way to deal with it is to like not engage with it. And you know that I'm running on like very specific bubbles that I have to keep for all of it to be
Yeah.
intact. And so to even if you make me move, you're making me move precisely. If I make a single mistake, I
Yeah.
don't have the word. There was a turn where one of my Cavaliers groups didn't have a word, but at that point I had already done enough to kind of not be as worried about it. But they do have a lot of mobility when you have enough orders to give them, and that was kind of
Yeah,
the
and then
big thing.
the thing about avoiding them when you're Iron Jaws is like, if most because especially because I don't have a lot of options right now at my army's like not huge. Like a unit that moves 4 inches like brutes, I'm not going to outrun cavalry. I'm not going to get away from you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
and
get
I
what you're
think it's
saying,
about
but like
not
I'm
coming
probably better off
forward.
just fighting you because then at least the earlier I fight you, the earlier I could potentially take you out. One other noteworthy thing is that I ran Big Rick's Regiment of Renown, which, if you guys don't know, is 2 units of Bolt Boys and then a monster or a Beast Skewer Killbow. This Regiment of Renown is not meta. I definitely don't see it anywhere being run that often. One thing it's very good about doing is targeting monsters. It actually has a focus fire ability specifically against monsters. Obviously, the Beast Skewer has skills against monsters. The problem is you don't really run monsters on any of your lists except for maybe the cow with Illumineth.
Yeah,
Whereas, like when you look at tournaments, I feel like a lot of monsters are run. So that's why I'm trying to use it because I think it could actually be pretty handy in a tournament. But I learned a lot about zoning better with them, having them farther back. I had them way too far forward. Um, so yeah, there was definitely a lot of learning there. But it was also my first time shooting, my first time
hmm
running a regiment of renown. Like there's a lot of learning opportunities for me there, and I definitely took the most out of it, I think.
yeah. I think if we have like the two biggest things is one, not either screening your big pig or just not protecting,
Yeah.
protecting it better, bringing it further back. But then screening your back objective, because, and I know you said, oh, if I kept somebody on my backed objective, then they're not really getting any value, but they're actually getting you, I guess, 10 points over the course of the game because you score 5 for that objective 2 times. But you also are keeping me from at least, I think I ended up scoring 20 points off of it when you include battle tactics. And so if you said that, like, this putting a unit back there would score you like a net, or like aggregate 25 points or 30 points, sorry, in 20 of that is denying me, 10 of that is scoring you, then you'd be like, oh hell yeah, like I'll give up 200 points to do
Yeah.
that,
No, it makes sense. One thing I kept looking at was like I can stop them coming in from like the back, but they'll just come from the left or right, and that's why I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll just let them have the back then.
And
Like
but
it
that's
felt like they
okay,
were
but
gonna come in no matter what, basically.
but if they come in from the side and it takes a turn, and there's so many things that can go wrong. There's charges, like you
Yeah.
failed a 4-inch charge that game, right? Like
Oh no, I know the brutes. I didn't get in.
like
Yeah.
if I don't get in on the turn that I have to score on that objective, and I get in the next turn, it's like great, like that's fine, right? But to get straight on, to be able to deep straight to your objective is just too big an advantage. So I do
Yeah.
think
No.
like you have to be, but here's the other thing, right? I think you
Yeah.
could have castled that game. So you
Yeah, I
keep
was
your
thinking about that. Yeah.
you keep your brutes at home. You even send your big pig around with the other pigs, and you teleport those Ard boys onto the corner objective. I go over and take it because that was my plan anyway. But those Ard boys stuck around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And
I was thinking too, like if that had been a reinforced unit of
yes,
our
yeah.
boys, like that would have been nuts. They would have just clogged that thing up for eternity.
So, and then let's say I come after your brutes because you've formed kind of a castle and you're coming up the middle side, then guess what happens? I'm coming into your shooting range, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And your
the
shooting
thing
is
is, like,
protected.
yeah, the shooting's pretty good. I think it's better against monsters than against big old packs of units.
Yeah.
Um,
But even
but
so, and then you also think about like, okay, I'm coming around. Oh, you don't want Calcitrol to deep strike on the sides either. Well, now if I deep strike on the sides, you have a castle. And so I like Calcitrol have to get through brutes. They're not getting through brutes. Their damage is actually pretty low against non wizards and manifestations and priests and stuff. They wouldn't fight brutes that well. So yeah, I think a castle style would have worked better for you. And then the other thing about the castle style is then you can react. So when I bring all of my cavaliers to the left objective, it makes it pretty safe for you to divert your castle towards the right objective. And
yeah,
still you can still screen your home objective with some stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my thought. I think, and that just works way better with the shooting, of course, too.
I think also giving the turn, it just seemed like you like it's funny because we play each other a lot, obviously, and we know each other. There's a lot of history, being twin brothers. But I was like, I felt like you really wanted to go first. I was like, no, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Oh,
first.
I badly wanted to go first.
And like I probably should have gone second. It would have been a lot better for me.
But here's the thing is that basically if I had gone first, I would have fully set up on 3 out of the 4 objectives and camped out and tried to war of attrition on primaries until the end of the game. That was my plan. Yeah. And you would have had to fight through a lot of stuff. And I was even going to use Cal's Toll to that end. And I had a game plan where I was never going to go after your home objective because I was just going to try to use Cal's Toll as a road bump to hold an objective and make you, by the time you got one of them, mathematically you were supposed to be out of the game. That was my plan, at least. I thought this is a good map for me, though, for this list.
Yeah, I mean, kind of right now, obviously, we're just every time we play, we just pick a map I haven't done yet until I do them all. So whether it's a good map or not, like I'm just glad to do something new. But yeah, no, I think those are all really good points. I think it'll be interesting when I have more units, being able to switch a few things up. I think having a second unit of little pigs will be a big change for me. Being able to kind of screen slash tag you in different areas of the map as opposed to just with the one pigs. You know?
Yeah, no, I think so too. Or just reinforcing them as a tar pit. Like they actually are just as tanky as the Cavaliers are minus the ward, but the Cavaliers only get the ward situationally. But a lot of times I use the Cavaliers statistically in the same way that you could use the pigs.
Yeah, it's like just a better version of Weird Fist, because like Weird Fist, we have to take a formation, and then it has to be within a priest or a wizard, but then it's also only a 6-up ward. So it just feels like a better version of that almost, because you don't have to take a battle formation. You just have to have the unit hang out with them. And then you get
but you do. So you're bringing 170 points, and
I guess what else is that Pontifex doing, right?
Well, you were not bringing it and being 170 points of another command core, right?
Yeah,
which a lot of people are doing. I mean, there's a reason why she didn't see any play before Scourge of Iran. And it was because this strategy is useless when you don't have charges, right? Without the Scourge of Iran Cavaliers, the Pontifex Sinestra would not be seeing any play at all.
I did see a list with her today. I've actually screenshotted it and then immediately forgot to send it to you. But I'll send it to you after this, and you can take a look, because I've been looking at anytime I see a Cities Sigmar list or a Lumineth list on top of the stuff I normally look at, I just look at them real quick to see if they're interesting, and if they are, I'm going to send them to you, kind of thing.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say too is this is the game that I've been beaten the worst by you, and this is the least salty I've been, because I just want to preface this by saying when I've played in tournaments like out in the world, like I'm I've been very, very good. I don't get salty at all. But I think when you're playing your brother, it's just easy because all the history. It's easier just to get a little frustrated because we've been playing various games together our whole lives. But I think I've turned a corner on that. And I'm a little. I felt more chill. I don't know if you felt that.
I definitely felt that, but those are also famous last words, and I will have you raging again. Just wait. We'll see. Just wait till you face Eltharion again.
The ethereal. Oh,
okay,
boy.
So before we move on to the meta talk, because we know there's a battle scroll. Well, we don't know for a fact there's a battle scroll coming next week, but we pretty much know that it's coming next Wednesday. But we are planning another game. We're going to play 2K Age of Sigmar on Friday, and we're going to be playing on Tabletop Simulator. And I'm actually going to try out a new faction to learn about it. And then therefore Jack can learn about a new faction as well. And so I'm going to be playing Tzeentch, and I'm really excited. But you're going to be trying out some stuff on Ironjaws as well. So it's going to be pretty cool.
I think I'll re-roll the exact same list because I just played it so poorly that, I think if I play it again, I'll be that much better with it.
100%. And I'm going to send you my Tzeentch list. I've copied it from somebody on the AoS coach Discord. And it's kind of like a Zangor themed mortals list.
Yeah.
Not mortals as in mortal wounds, but mortals as in like not the demon side, the like human / beast men side of Tzeentch. And so, I'll send that list to you and we can figure it out.
Are you playing them because you'd consider purchasing them at some point, or is
Tzeentch was like originally the next faction? That was like the original. I mean, I've had a million ideas of what faction to get, and I was I came very close. Instead of buying the Lumineth Battle Force, I came very close to buying the Tzeentch versus Lumineth Battle Box. That's when they used to do two armies versus each other. They used to do these boxes where it was like two factions were battling. You got some staples from both factions and a brand new hero that was released for the first time ever in these boxes, for one for each faction. It came with a scenario guide where you could play with just the models in the box. And there was a whole story about this one, for example, was about a temple that had some pretty important artifacts, and the Tzeentch people were going for it. The Lumineth were going for it. There was like a old like elven wizard that had died, and it was where they had stored like a bunch of their knowledge, and Tzeentch is always after knowledge. And basically you play the scenario with the box. It's such a cool concept, but we haven't seen one of those in a long time. So
that'd be I would go in on one of those with you, or even if like next edition they did something that wasn't Stormcast, because they make so many of those boxes. I'm sure we could get one of those together at some point as well.
Yeah, I think the next edition would be Stormcast versus a death faction. So depending on what it is,
I think it'd be a lot cooler if they did like cities versus a death faction or something like that.
A lot of people have speculated on that or commented on that. That would be really neat. I mean, could you imagine if it's cities versus OBR and then like we get our brother Charlie in on it too? That would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't realize. I was watching a lore video and I didn't realize that people call Stormcast Sigmarines.
Yeah,
it's pretty on the nose. It's pretty good.
That's exactly what they are. But
like honestly.
And they are the most popular, right? Like even, I mean, yes, it's because everyone gets them in starter products, but still people could move off of them and they don't because they do like them. So, okay, great. Cool. Yeah. Let's talk about the meta, man. Now, just for like a disclaimer here, in case someone gets really butthurt about what we're about to say, Jack and I have played in just a couple of tournaments, and we haven't played against every army, let alone like know them intimately. And so like there's a certain level that we can comment on this. And I think Jack's actually a keener observer of the meta than I am. And so like he might have more insight into certain things. I've played against more factions than he has. And so I have that insight that he doesn't have. But at the end of the day, like we can just share how we feel and what we see. And we'd love to hear feedback, like agreeing or disagreeing. But yeah, don't just come in and be like, you guys don't know about this or you don't know about that faction. Like, yeah, probably don't actually. So like, get out of here.
I'm gonna say whatever I say, take it to the bank. All right, it's fine. If you want to place bets based on information I'm giving, I condone. I think that's a good idea. No,
Okay.
like I am a sponge. I do soak up lots of information, and then so it's not like all these thoughts are like original, where I'm like crunching the numbers and I'm like, this is it. It's more like things I'm hearing, seeing, and then some of it is like, oh yeah, like this feels like it could happen, kind of thing. Like we both
Oh,
have Lumineth on our lists for probably getting a nerf.
yeah, but so with Lumineth, it's really tough because their models are really expensive and they're actually pretty weak individually. Like the only one that's strong individually is Eltharion, and then like the Enlightener technically in terms of what it does, but it's not actually a strong model in terms of like, you know, you can just take it out, like it's not going to be around. So Eltharion is very strong, and I think that could be a potential points 10 or 20 up or whatever, right? But the rest of them, it's really tricky because as soon as you lose another model in your overall list, you're running with so little. And we can see
Yeah.
that like some people are winning tournaments with them, but you can't punish a player base based on the best player. And we're not actually seeing that many tournament wins. We're seeing lots of 4-1s and 3-2s for sure. But I don't think we're actually seeing that many like Lumineth tournament wins.
Yeah, I think another thing that's going in their favor is like when you looked at when, for example, like Cruel Boys was on the top, it was like a lot of really similar lists. So it was really easy to look at certain things and be like, okay, well, Swamp Lord Bullies is everyone is running that, so that thing is overpowered. Let's change it. Whereas when you look at all the Lumineth winning lists, they're actually winning in different ways. The only unit that seems to be like a staple, I would say, is probably the Blade Lords. But
Yeah.
you
Oh
see
yeah.
people winning with different ways, and when you win in different ways, it's not easy for GW to say, okay, we're gonna just nerf this unit and we're set because it's not so black and white like that. So I think they have that going for them, and I do agree that like this surge has been like late balance patch. Like they were pretty middling for like the first 2/3, I would say. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's a foregone thing that they would get increased. I just think that like, sometimes the last thing you see is top of your mind, and now they happen to be good right near the end, and that might end up screwing them.
I also want to say that the meta is actually pretty good. So the ideal
Yeah.
world is that everybody's 50% win rate, and I think everybody's within that 10% of 50. Like there's nobody 60 plus. I think the highest is like 57. And so there are
Yeah.
some things that need to get adjusted. It's so tricky with something like, for example, Night Haunt is just spamming Pyregasts and the Geists, and the same thing was happening with cities spamming Command Core, and you basically just have to keep increasing their points. Those are units that should be unique. But if somebody's bought in 12 Pyregeists, like how can you say that now you can only run 11 of those boxes you bought are like invalid, but then also now you're not going to sell any more Pyregeists, and so that's also kind of a problem.
It's
But
like those monster killer spam lists, because those probably
yeah,
should be like capped as well. But I think a lot of people who are running those were proxying them as well. At least what I saw from online discourse, but it could be wrong.
yeah, and
They
I
they're
know
really cool models, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone wanted to build more than one because I think they're super neat.
now I don't know exactly what it's called, but I know 40K has some sort of like unit cap mechanic where you can't spam a single unit. They
Yeah.
have something in place, so it does exist in Games Workshop like universe, but yeah.
One thing I was reading the 40K write up about why they made the changes they made, and some of the changes they literally just said, "Oh, we've raised the cost of this unit to like encourage other units being used more."
Mhm.
And I thought I didn't realize that was part of their thinking on it, which makes sense. Um, but yeah, so I guess that's something to think about too. Is it's not just about like maybe weakening them, but it's like, hey, like see these other units, maybe they'll become more viable. It's different than because you don't want it to be like Gits where everything is just lowered, and then now people are like, great, we have to buy more models than everyone else.
Yeah, although and also in 40K the point costs are vastly decreased compared to Age of Sigmar, and so you can fit so many more units into a 2K. And when you do make something more expensive, you're meaning like you're putting more things into your army. And if you put something in like more expensive in Age of Sigmar, like sometimes you're just bringing one less unit to the battle, and that can feel kind of bad too.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what, like, we can go to the next one here, but like Iron Jaws, when they got their decreases last time, a lot of people were saying that it doesn't really add, it wasn't enough to add a whole other unit of something big. Because I find a lot of lists I'm seeing are like, you know, 40 to 50 points below 2000 because it's not quite there. And also with Iron Jaws, my big thing is that you're just seeing monster trucks, lots of pig lists, lots of stuff with mock rushes, and Kragnos. And like, I don't think that, because Iron Jaws is right in the sweet spot you want them to be. But this is the case of like, I feel like you could switch things around to make infantry more viable. So they just have another play style. But I guess you gotta be careful because you don't want them to be too strong either.
Yeah, it's really a problem when their infantry are really elite. Because at the end of the day, they are right. Like they have lots of health, lots of armor, and big damage. Just bad hit to hit, of course.
More of a rules problem, I guess. But
Yeah, but the other thing about the stacking like one side of a book is it's just like the internal that we just call like an internal balance problem too, because that's a huge problem with Slaves of Darkness, right? Is that like one part of the book is really good and it's just insane not to run the other side over it. And that's kind of where Iron Jaws is at, where the pigs are just bring so much more to the table. And that's like in the first season of this edition, we saw Iron Jaws had access to the Field Sergeant buff, which was a +2-inch movement aura, and infantry lists did really well during that time. But now they don't have that, and really, like, you just can't compete with the mobility that the pigs are bringing over the infantry.
yeah, the main thing is like if you want to get the extra mighty destroyers by bringing the mega boss, you don't have to roll. For Iron Fist, it's like you have to have a mega boss, and they kind of suck. I would like to see him come down in points because he doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense if we saw that. Now, just to give you an idea, we're already at 42 minutes, which is crazy how quickly that passed.
Wow.
So I know, right? But let's do some quick hits through our list here.
Yeah.
I'll do one, you do one, and we'll kind of get through what we have here. So, and we don't necessarily have to talk about every single one. I think there's a possibility that cannons will go up for Cities of Sigmar and maybe the Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers, just to be equal, they're 160 and the other Cavaliers are 150. And I think maybe the Cavaliers would just line up with each other. But then Cities has come down a significant amount since the last battle scroll, so I don't think there's anything too bad there.
Yeah, one for me is I think with this rumored ogre refresh, they also seem to need some buffs. So if they got their refresh right after they just got buffed, it might literally make me drive to a bank and take all my money out and go buy a bunch of ogres. So that's interesting.
Well, and the ogres aren't going to be till the new year anyway. I mean, there's a chance they just say like, well, the book is going to help them out, so we're going to leave them, and that sucks. But it's definitely possible. And people are doing well with ogres, but just very good players, and that's always kind of the case for a lot of factions. But I also thought, Caradron got last patch, Caradron, Cities, Cruel Boys, and Daughters of Cain all got sweeping nerfs, like major changes. Pontifex Sinestra's Scourge of Iran was absolutely like just decapitated. Cruel Boys suffered the most, and we thought that this was going to affect all the factions. But Daughters of Cain and Caradron are both still in that high bracket of like 57, 56. So I wonder if they'll come down more or if they're happy with where they're at.
Yeah, and with Cruel Boys, like I think what ended up happening was they nerfed the crap out of them, but then people also learned how to play against Cruel Boys. And then that combined to like now Cruel Boys can't bring as much things cost more, and now people know how to play against them. So it almost like was a double whammy there. I think if Cruel Boys got nerfed slightly less, they still wouldn't be doing as good just because people are aware of them and they know how to deal with them. And they actually don't have a lot of variance in their lists. Because Swamp Horde Bullies kind of is like the best, and there's no reason to take anything else. And if you're going to run that, you're going to have to run 2 reinforced units of Gut Rippers. So I think they're in a tough spot right now, for sure.
Yeah, I think they got hit too hard in the end, because the other thing about like nerfing is going to make other factions better, but then when you make point changes, other factions get better, and the better other factions get, other things come down. I mean, there's literally no way that the balance team can test all of this. There's just, it's impossible. And they play a lot of games. Like the balance team, they're known to play like tabletop simulator games and to be playing on other playing games every week. So but like there's only so much Warhammer you can play. And the balance team does talk to, like, I think they do talk to tournament players. Like I think they, not to like get, like they just kind of like get information about the meta. They're not getting like advice on how to nerf things or anything. They just learn about factions from sources and stuff. So yeah. I think the other really big one we need to talk about is the Sunsteel Awilas, because we are seeing way more Gits players, way more placements in tournaments, and it was the most played army at Worlds. And I don't think that's just because it's a very, very, very popular faction. I think it's because a lot of people saw that they could potentially win with it, and it went to the finals but lost to Slaanesh, which is, Slaanesh is doing well, really cool. But yeah, Gits, are we going to see it errated? Are we going to see a points increase for the Sunsteel Awilas? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'll see something for them, but I mean, just the fact that prior to them getting that huge change, it was just Trog lists and nothing else. And I saw a Trog list today when I was looking, but generally when I'm looking, you're not seeing a ton of Trogs anymore, which is kind of wild because they just released this battle force for Trogs, and like Trogs are kind of like not as popular right now. I think they'll obviously make a comeback just because they're good and people have them, and they're good. If you have it built and painted, you're going to play it. But there's definitely, I think something needs to be done there.
I think the random, there's just too much randomness for Gloomspite Gits as well. Like they have to roll for so many things. There's far too many ways that things can go wrong, and then they have such a massive range that there's so many permutations in which you can build a list that, like, good luck trying to figure that out. And then you figure it out, but like you're still waiting for, a 50% roll to make something happen for you. So like I don't know, it just feels like a headache.
Yeah, that's kind of just destruction though.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to be an insane person to play one of those armies for sure. Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, cool. So the last thing I should mention is that we see Hellsmiths of Hashut, our newest faction, not doing the best, but there's so many reasons for that. People are literally playing it for the first time. They haven't got all of their models yet. There's as the Honest Wargamer says, there's the production meta where you actually have to like produce your models. You have to get them built, painted, based, and now people are figuring out the army, and so. It seems to be underwhelming so far, but I think it's way too early to call it.
I also think that like they have such good shooting, and it's a bad time in general with Scourge of Gairen obscuring for them. Like, I wonder if you took away all the obscuring stuff, if that would just instantly make them like, decently better.
Yeah, I know, because like we've played games where so much stuff's been obscured, and I still get to shoot at you a bit and do some stuff. And then I remember one of those games, I had shot at you and killed something, but everything else was obscuring. And I think I said to you, like, hey, imagine if I could shoot at all of your stuff right now. And you were like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, that's how the game that's how it was before this.
Yeah, like every turn that you aren't able to shoot is just like, I feel like it's like points wasted, or like, it's just a force multiplier. You need to be able to shoot constantly. You want to be able to counter shoot. You want to just be peppering and doing that damage. And that's a huge part of your list that's just not contributing if it's not getting to shoot, right? So
And that's why I love the Fusiliers, because they're not that expensive, but also they're not actually a true shooting unit. They're also an anvil. And so like they're perfectly fine. Like that's like that last game we played. I was perfectly fine to keep them on the objective and never move them. I only teleported them with the bridge to come up and shoot you because I was going in for the kill. But if they had to sit on that objective and pass some turns, I would have been fine because they were scoring points.
Yeah, and that's why I think this big Grix, like, I'm not gonna say it's like I'm like, you know, creating some crazy new meta, but like there's got to be a role for it with some of these monster lists you see. There's got to be a way that, like, you know, that regiment of renown with brutes in front of it, like, and monsters trying to smash in. Like, I feel like there's something there. I'm probably, you know, too high on my own supply with this, but we'll see.
No, that's actually, like, for example, with Lumineth, they can really take out monster truck lists with their mobility and sentinels. If you have sentinels and like the wind foxes and you're shooting at the monster trucks, you can like kill a monster before it ever gets to you. And then the monsters have to be thrashing against your screens. And meanwhile, they're getting shot to death. Like, shooting is a really big counter for monsters, and monsters can't be obscured. So you really have a lot of like, it's a good way to take out monster lists is to have shooting. It's a really effective way.
And I get extra rend and extra damage against monsters, right?
Oh, big time, yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
Extra attacks,
but you would never shoot my cow, right?
Never. No, I wouldn't even dream of that. No. I wouldn't even attack him, I think. I think I would just let him do his thing. Just like you would never hurt Clonk, right?
Well, I wouldn't say never, but
how dare you? Okay, I think that might be it then for this.
I think so, because we're actually at 50. We're at 51. Yeah, this is it. The podcast is over permanently because I insulted Clonk. This has been a 51-minute podcast. We're just so everybody knows, we're aiming for 30 minutes because we respect your time, but also like that's the type of content that Jack and I personally would check out, and we're like less likely to check out something that's 52 minutes. And so we're directly going against our instincts here, but it's just so easy to talk to you, man. So, you know, here's what it is.
And it's such a good topic to talk about, you know, and I think we'll keep playing around with segments and different ideas. We have one idea for post balance patch that I think is going to be really, really fun. And I think it can just be a 30-minute episode of its own. So a little tease there, something to look forward to for you guys.
Yeah. So next week that will be coming.
We'll have some fresh topical content coming out. And hopefully it's something a little different than other people are doing, so you can keep you excited and wanting more.
Yeah, and guess what? It's free of charge.
Just come on down. Help yourself.
Come on down. Have 2 servings. Have seconds. Yeah. Okay. So let's sign off there. I'm gonna Jack, here's a warning that I'm gonna let you have the last word, and you can say something witty, funny, charming, and that you'll be proud of for the rest of your life. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Such is the power of Nagash.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.